what exactly that purpose is. Why are we here? What am I supposed to do?
Ultimately, all you are seeking is happiness. 4 categories: dharma, artha, kama, moksha.
What is that mindset which is restricting people to have money? And what they can do that they become the money magnet? They will eventually go through this earthly process, and ultimately we all are, heading towards that emancipation or moksha. How one can be happy always?
The temporary sense of happiness that we get is not actually coming from that car. It is coming from within us.
Because that attachment, that asakti is given to us from the universal source to sustain.
Attachment doesn't mean it is about giving up on life.
It is little difficult to, detach ourselves.
Where Krishna says, don't try to fight your desires.
There is a stillness inside.
Anxiety is there, or stress is there, or you feel attached.
Being present in the moment. So when it comes to the pain and suffering, the purpose finding, how do I find my doing basically?
What triggers you? What brings you that level of fulfillment and happiness? This programming, doctor, engineer, this in brackets, so that they're not even aware of who they are.
Do I have that power to really change my destiny through my karma? Or will my astrological charts and my karmic baggage will dictate for me and to restrict me from not doing it? Namaste, Mr. Sujan. Welcome to North Star, and my heartfelt gratitude for taking out your precious time.
Yeah, namaste. Glad to be here.
Mr. Sujan, I would like to start our conversation with a more, phenomenal question, earthly question. The question would be that a common man may ask you that how he or she can actually fulfill all his goals or desires or wishes or dreams, whatever you may want to call it.
How would someone go about achieving all the desires they have?
Yeah, how can we make our dreams and dreams come true, or the wish fulfillment?
Like I primarily, whatever understanding I have, it comes from the ancient wisdom of Vedanta, which are these teachings from the Upanishads and Bhagavad Gita. And so whatever I speak from that perspective, combined with a little bit of experience. So, and ultimately Vedanta says, right, there is possibility of us achieving whatever it is, whatever we want, or whatever desires we want, whatever goals we have. But ultimately, from a higher perspective, desires are meaningless because there is always something else, right? And there is in this eternal cycle of suffering, because no matter what we achieve, there is always more to achieve. Recognizing the futility of it, and then going about doing things which are meaningful and having goals that are good for not just us, for the society as a whole. Now that will become a better journey for most people. But ultimately, if to answer your question, if how would someone go about achieving their desires or goals, it's about becoming the person who is congruent and who is aligned with that vision or that goal, right? The primary wisdom of Bhagavad Gita says it's all about you, right? Whatever life that you're living, it comes down to who you are as a person, and the external reality is just a reflection of your identity, your swabhava. So it's about working on yourself. We call this at ACS, we call this the process of conscious creation, which is about taking control of ourselves at different levels and dimensions, at the level of the mind, at the level of the intellect, at the level of the identity, and reshaping ourselves within, so that the external reality, whatever that ideal life that is we are looking for, so that it can naturally happen. So it's about us being worthy of that life that we aspire to live.
So what I understand from you, what you just said, is that there is an external reality which may be a mirage, but actually the bullseye is something bigger, where you align yourself to the higher purpose. Once you achieve that, then external realities will also fall in place. Did I get you right?
Yeah. So one thing is about purpose, like you mentioned, having not just surface level, superficial desires, which are conditioned desires. In generally, these desires come from the conditioning, how society molds us to think. But
Yeah.
going beyond that, having a meaningful goal to life is better. That's what I was trying to say. And then it's more about working on yourself, not just focusing on the external world, but the internal reality. Yeah.
So the higher purpose would be working on your inner self, which ultimately I understand the external realities or desires are byproducts, which anyways you can achieve if you want to.
Correct.
At the very conditional and the earthly level you're trying to say. But this conversation and the first question which I asked you was a deliberate question, so that a common man coming from any kind of level of consciousness or any kind of square can connect to what we are talking today. I definitely get, where you are taking us. But before that, if I take some baby steps and ask you the question, that
definitely.
how one would identify this very purpose of life, like you just said, that we have a meaningful self, meaningful life, resonating with the higher self, the higher purpose of life. So if I may ask you, can you please tell us, this intriguing question I think many of us are struggling with day in and day out, that what exactly that purpose is? Why are we here? What am I supposed to do?
The answer seems complicated from the surface, right? But if we just dig even a little bit deeper into what people want and what we want, like the best way to understand this is by looking at our own life and our own life experiences. So what do we want? We want happiness, and we seek happiness through various means. For someone, it's about building a business. For someone, it's their profession. For someone, it's their relationship. So we're all trying to approach it in different ways, but we need happiness. We want happiness, and that's the only thing, to be honest and direct. So that's the science of Vedanta. Vedanta is just the science of happiness, and it states ultimately all you are seeking is happiness. There is an indirect way to approach it, and there is a direct way to approach it. Direct way is about going within and recognizing yourself for who you are, and the indirect way is about the external attainments. Vedanta puts it in 4 categories: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Kama is about sensual pleasures, food, and all that. Dharma is about then artha is about wealth and power and influence and all that. And after that comes dharma, that is about righteous living, purpose, contribution, and ultimately moksha, which is a sort of a direct path to ultimate happiness. And it goes on to say all these other 3 attainments of kama, artha, and dharma are not permanent. They don't last. But still, different people are in different levels and different. They have their own tendencies. So it's just about that. At which level they are, for them, what is required, whether it's pleasures, whether it's power. Vedanta this ancient wisdom can help us achieve that at that level, and then ultimately take us to that ultimate goal as well. So that's the purpose of life, happiness. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what I understand by the dharma, artha, kam, moksha theory of the Vedanta is that, yes, we do come in this world maybe to, be done with our baggage of karmas, and because of which we need these tools of dharma, which you call right action. Then we need earth, the right kind of earned money to survive. And then, of course, we have moksha and so on and so forth. But so, shall I understand from this, Mr. Sujan, that for any human being coming from any kind of karmic cycle, baggage, background, the level of consciousness, they will eventually go through this earthly process, and ultimately we all are, heading towards that emancipation or moksha, so to say.
Yeah, correct, 100%. Like everybody is going to the same destination, but based on, like you mentioned, our karmic patterns, our conditioning, we all seem to be going in different directions, but ultimately we are headed to the same destination.
You did mention about that, how there are two ways which Vedant talks about of attaining happiness. I
Mm,
completely resonate, and I believe the larger audience is definitely resonating with the fact that we all are looking for that bliss and happiness. When we achieve
mm,
something, we are happy. We eat, we are happy. So there's some kind of, exchange of result that we are waiting for in an activity for us to, be happy.
mm,
But then as you said, that the second part, which is the external attainment of the pleasure or happiness, is conditional. And when you're saying that, I understand that when we are given with that object or achievement, we are happy. But the very next moment when it is taken away, we are sad. So, what I'm trying to ask you here is that whatever the external condition may be, whatever the achievement or the losses one may face, so to say, in a phenomenal language, how one can be happy always,
mm.
irrespective of what we have or we don't have.
To explain this, we have a simple formula at ACS, which is the level of happiness you experience is inversely proportional to your attachment to the external world, which is just about
Mhm.
whatever you said, right? The more we are identified or attached to things in the world, the less we can be happy, or the less control we have on our happiness. Because the external world is not designed to keep us happy. There is always something to worry about or to stress about. And apart from this, even if we carefully examine the nature of fulfillment or happiness, even when we, like you mentioned, even when we, let's say, attain certain things in the external world, when we have food or when we buy a car or whatever, the temporary sense of happiness that we get is not actually coming from that car. It is coming from within us. It is just manifesting at that moment because of that stimuli, because of that event. So the perspective that we need to change here is that we just need to observe more carefully what is happening. Even the external world that is that seems to be giving us happiness here and there, it is not actually giving us anything. It is just manifesting something which is already within us. So
So,
Vedanta says the ocean of happiness is within. So go there directly. And why are you wasting time there? So that's the point.
so eventually, the happiness that we did manifest and segmented into a car, house, career, or whatever is
Mm,
actually coming within. The outside
mm,
external object is just making us realize that happiness. We have
yeah,
come to it, but via the external.
correct.
But you also mentioned in the same breath that it is the attachment. So once we start detaching ourselves with the worldly or the external objects, then
Mm,
we may live in the ultimate blissful life, or the the ongoing happiness.
yeah.
If I may quote some of our scriptures, like in Durga Sapshati, there is a mention of that how. Ma Bhagavati is actually the source of the whole universe. So, be it the knowledge, be it the attachment or detachment, at different times to different individuals, she may be giving that consciousness to that person. So, when we
Mm,
say the attachment, which is the asakti, that
mm,
also is being instilled through her form of Maya, so that
mm,
this worldly plane can actually uh, follow the path of the material world, and that process follows. A very simple example would be that a child is born and the parents have that attachment and asakti to that child, so that
mm,
they can actually support that newborn to grow into a healthy
mm.
individual, and till the time he or she, that child, is not independent enough to be on his or her own. So that's an example that why that attachment is instilled in all of us who are on this plane, as in the earthly plane, so that we can carry on our duties.
Mm.
So, whilst we are attached, how we remain detached? Because that
Yeah.
attachment, that asakti is given to us from the universal source to sustain.
Attachment doesn't mean it is about giving up on life, right? It is not about losing intensity with life. For example, if we take Bhagavad Gita, Krishna goes on about karma yoga, which is totally about detachment to Arjuna. But nowhere he means that Arjuna should stop the war, or he should stop doing what he's doing and he should run away from the war, right? So he's teaching Arjuna detachment, but not giving up on himself or on his life or the war itself. So detachment is more about let being in control of how we are being within ourselves, right? No matter what happens in the external world, whether we let it affect our internal state of being or not, that is detachment. Not about not doing anything, right? It's about doing it actually even more intensely, because that is karma yoga, absolute detachment and yet absolute intensity. It sounds like a paradox, but that is how it is. But
So
that's the
basically,
ultimate way to live.
okay, so they're your two selves that you're carrying together, where you have to do your duties assigned to you in whatever form you are right now, with all the
Yeah.
100% passion, yet being detached with that passion, very passion itself.
Yeah. For example, let's say our goal with the organization that we're building is to reach 1 billion people or millions and millions of people across the world. Now, that's the goal, that's the vision, and that's, let's say, our team are working day and night towards that. The ideal attitude should be whether that happens or not, it should not affect our state of being. We should be calm, centered, in that place of awareness no matter what happens, but yet we should be working towards that vision to make it happen. So that is the, of course, it's easier said than done, but that's the ideal way to live, because we come from a place of calm and happiness there, instead of always being stressed and worried about what's going to happen. So that's at least in theory how karma yoga works.
That's very beautifully put, actually. And that again reminds me to the very famous and the very first line from Bhagavad Gita, that, you involve yourself in Nishkam Karma. Basically, you do your karma, but then you don't, you detach yourself from the result. So basically, if I'm assigned a duty today, I do that duty with all my 100%, yet I don't then think about what will happen, what the outcome
Yes.
will be. And whatever the outcome may be, I don't have to worry about good or bad, whatever. So, Mr. Sujan, when we talk about that, as you just mentioned, it is little difficult to, detach ourselves, because, we all are engulfed in this sensory world and our own 5, 6 senses which we live with, right? So we do have that attachment, and to have that awareness of that you're not this, I'm not this. I think it does come, but maybe through a lot of experience and practice. So my simple question to you would be, is there a hack? Is there a daily practice? Is there anything that you want to tell our audience today, hearing you or watching you, that what actually they can do in their daily lives, where with all the rigor they're doing their work, their duties, yet they are not bothered about the result?
There is a deep framework that we call conscious Most people live their lives unconsciously, right? We live on autopilot. If we observe ourselves, it's like we sit on a car, we don't know what we are doing, and at another moment, we are at some other place, and we are not actually in control of our lives, right? Now, breaking free from that and bringing some level of awareness, right? Some level of consciousness. In Gita, there is a verse which talks exactly to your point, to this question, where Krishna says, don't try to fight your desires. That doesn't work, because desires are always there. So understand that more powerful than your desires is your sense organs. If you take control of your sense organs, you will take control of your desires. More powerful than the sense organs is your mind, and more powerful than your mind is your intellect, and the more powerful than the intellect is the awareness or consciousness. If we can just bring that dimension of awareness to our life in the moment, it's just about taking a pause, right? Like before we immediately react to something, it's about consciously responding to things in life, and it's about being in presence or awareness, which we can build as we go, and that really helps, because that sense of gap between our response to things is a very profound place to begin with. I think bringing that consciousness into life will definitely help.
So I understand when I hear you that there is a stillness inside, maybe a kind of a calmness inside, that I, put in an effort for a result or for an outcome. And when it is in favor, so to say, or not in favor, just I'm using these words for the, lack of better words and lack of a way to make audience understand what I'm trying to say. So we have put in the work, and the outcome is there. So before I react to the outcome that I'm sad or I'm happy, I take a pause. And then I respond to it rather than reacting to it.
Yeah, to everything, not just maybe you're stuck in traffic, or maybe that exactly the thing you mentioned, maybe your attachment to certain outcomes. It's we call it waking up at ACS. It's just about just you just sit straight and you see what is in front of you, and you see what is happening within you, and you'll just be aware as a sakshi, as a witness. You'll not try to do anything for 5 to 10 seconds every few hours or every hour, whenever that anxiety is there or stress is there or you feel attached. Just taking this break and just being in that stillness for a few seconds, and just seeing the external reality and the internal reality, as in what is happening within the mind, just being conscious of it. Through this small practice or exercise, we will try to break that old pattern or that identity, and we will bring more awareness into life.
So basically, when we talk about this awareness is being present in the moment. What's happening now? What I was, what I will be, it's not about that, but what I am right now.
Yes.
So when I talk to you, I'm talking to you right now. What is the outcome? How it happened, the triggers, that all is done. Actually, if you say, then actually that's the reality also. We cannot catch the moments that pass and the moments that will come. But what we can actually just realize is the moment we are in right now.
Correct. But the mind plays a game, and it is always focused either with the past or with the future. So that's what we need to break out of. That's all.
So now if we progress further and we try to navigate and attach this whole conversation about, how we keep ourselves very much present in the world, because definitely we are here for some reason. Nothing would be without a reason, I understand. Yet we are detached to what will happen further. So we keep doing our karma, but detached to the outcome. So when it comes to the pain and suffering, I think we all got the answer when you said that don't be bothered about any kind of a suffering, because then that is not in your hands. Then the question would be, why am I doing it? Or maybe I'll better frame the question, the purpose finding, that eventually if I don't have to bother about the result, but there must be something I have to bother about, not the doing, the part of doing. How do I find my doing, basically?
So again, it comes down to happiness, right? Like what triggers you, what brings you that level of fulfillment and happiness. So it's just about that, because whatever you're doing right now, you do it because it brings you happiness. You could be doing so many other things. You chose this, right? Because at this moment, based on your skills, based on whoever you are, this feels right for you. So that is purpose. That's all. We try to make things complicated. It's just about purpose is a culmination of who you are, and purpose is the best way for you to contribute to the world in some way, right? Because that is purpose. Who we are is our purpose. People live so unconsciously, conditioned by society, this programming, doctor, engineer, this in brackets, so that they're not even aware of who they are. So if they can just break away from that conditioning a little bit and just see themselves for who they are, what are their strengths and weaknesses, what are their passions, and bringing it all together to contribute to the world in some way, that itself is the purpose, and that's the best way to live. That is what Vedanta calls swadharma. It's an individual purpose based on our innate strengths and talents we are contributing to the world. So that's the purpose.
So the purpose is, in a nutshell, which I really found very beautiful when you said that purpose is what makes you happy, what
Yeah.
drives you to do that.
Mm.
Some activities, anything, be it your profession or any activity, which makes you happy in that state when you're doing it, and the sense of fulfillment. So I found my
Yeah.
purpose. Now I don't have to worry about the result.
Yeah.
So, Mr. Sujan, can there be many purposes? Because when I was hearing you out for this question, it just came to my mind that is it that there could be not one, but there could be many purposes that I may have to perform or realize whilst I am in this humanly form.
Yeah, definitely. There can be, because each of us are very, very unique. And there can be so many things that might, inspire us. But the thing is, ultimately, in this world, the way it is right now, because of the societal structure, money is also a very important thing right now for people, because even though they are, let's say, they are passionate about something and they're doing it, and if there is no financial inflow that is associated with that, then they cannot sustain their lives with their families and all that. So apart from living our passions, we also need to focus on adding value in some way or form, and we also need to focus on being proficient in what we do. Right, there needs to we need to allocate certain time and certain energy to make ourselves proficient in that area, whatever we choose to make it, whatever we choose it to be. And then we need to just focus on adding value, because wherever the value flows, then the reciprocation should happen. That is the law of karma. What you give is what you get. And if we are passionate about something, and if we are skillful in it, and if we are adding value, so all those things put together can become our purpose, through which we can attain that, even the financial freedom also.
One thing again, I would want to, just point out here to the audience hearing you out is that you're actually talking about Advaita Vedant. Actually talking about the Vedant philosophy. You're actually telling us about how to live life and the purpose of life, how to be detached. But now comes a very, I would say it's a master stroke when you just said that one should not forget the financial aspect, and it is very practical at the same time. We all are on this earthly plane, and we need the means, the financial means to survive. And if you are in a family, then of course, make your family survive through that financial means. So many a times people don't get the message straight that whenever they are, trying to make sense out of any kind of spiritual talk, they often feel that the expert or the speaker is just trying to convey that you renounce the world, you run away somewhere, and just leave everything. No desire, no fulfillment, and there's the only truth is you, which is true. I'm not saying that. I'm not negating any of the things which I just said. But actually, it is so, so, so true that the financial part is one of the very important parts of anyone's life. And that is why I think we talk about Artha when we say
Yeah.
Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha.
Yeah.
I'm very happy that you did brought it up that way, that people can understand that it is not about that you don't have to earn to
Yeah.
survive, or you need a
Yeah.
livelihood.
Correct. And it is a huge misconception, actually. In the ancient Sanatana Dharma, money was not disregarded in any way, because Artha, we worship it as Lakshmi, right? And it is that which sustains. Whether to build an organization, or to build a house, or even to have food, you need money. So, and from the Vedantic view, there is nothing that is non-spiritual. It is only the ignorance of the mind that makes us believe that one thing is spiritual and one thing is not. So everything is spiritual, everything is energy, everything, even money is spiritual. It's just that how we use it and how we generate it. Now that's makes the difference between dharma and adharma, right? Like if we do it in the right way, if you use it in the right way, then it's all good.
Yeah, I do get it, because I do also see that in the larger part of the society, there, I don't know where this thought has seeped in, that there is a kind of a victimization of the poor. Now, I don't say that it should not be, yes, we are in a society, and to share and let everyone come up with any kind of an occupation and livelihood so that they can survive and feed the family is more important than trying to sell poverty for the own good, or for their own benefit or vested interest, or you may say the politics. But the politics of the society has turned out that people are trying to sell poverty rather than it can be turned into a more positive connotation of that how we can empower everyone, and everyone has money and everyone is financially stable.
Correct. And poverty, it should be looked at as what it is. It is a disease that needs to be treated, right? Like any disease makes a person suffer. Poverty makes a person suffer, and whatever makes a person suffers is a disease, and it needs to be treated. It should not be glorified in any way, because Swami Vivekananda, he said it is a crime to teach spirituality to a poor person, because it will not go into his mind. Because when a person is, the entire mental bandwidth of a person is focused towards solving his primary needs of food and shelter, then spirituality is a very far thing. So first of all, we need to address poverty for what it is, and it needs to be solved. It needs to be looked at as what it is, and then people, and it once the mindset changes, there are enough opportunities in this world. There are so many things that a person can do to get rid of that.
I completely understand, because if the stomach is not full, you cannot think of emancipation. So the sensory and the bodily needs have to be fulfilled. I quote here Osho, where he says, "Ten tat ten gunjita," मतलब भोगोगे तो त्यागोगे. So once you're done with it, you're full. Only you can think of the spiritual aspect of yourself. You just mentioned about the mindset. So I really want to bring this important aspect which we have been discussing: the money, the finances. What is that mindset which is restricting people to have money, and what they can do that they become the money magnet in terms of rightfully earning money?
When it comes to money, there can be so many things. Like I was talking about earlier, from our worldview at ACS, the external world is just a reflection of of a person's swabhava. Swabhava is a deep, innate identity. Right now, Tejasvi G is like one identity, one person, what we can call a swabhava. And there are many components to that swabhava. There is the ego, there is the intellect, there are certain thought patterns, emotional patterns, belief systems, and so on. Samskaras, vasanas, vrittis, so many terminologies are used. But if we can primarily examine the belief systems that are associated with the swabhava, right? Now that sort of gives a glimpse into the nature of an identity or swabhava. And these belief systems can come from so many places. It can be karmic in nature, from from long ago, or it can be what our parents said. Generally, parental conditioning is very strong, because our parents say so many things when we are very, very young. At times when our mind, our subconscious is very wide open about money, whether making money is difficult, or whether it is not for everyone, whether all rich people are immoral or whatever, right? Like it can be so many patterns. It differs from an individual to individual. But what a person can do is to sit in meditation, sit in deep contemplation, and examine his swabhava or identity. He can just keep a notepad and a pen and just go deep and see what kinds of beliefs and thought patterns are running his identity and swabhava. And then he can easily see that the external reality that he's living in terms of his profession or business or finances is just a reflection of it. Whatever is within him is what he's experiencing outside. It's just that most people do not pay attention to this connection between the internal and the external. And once they see it, they cannot unsee it. So they'll need to work on themselves at that level to transform their lives.
Okay, so let me broaden this attainment aspect. So you said that one needs to go deep down in meditation and reflect the inner swabha, which is actually reflecting what we are seeing the outer situations. So whatever situation I may be today from the outside, is actually stored and built in the very internal being.
Correct.
So, Mr. Pujan, if you broaden it, be it money, be it
Hmm.
relationship, or be it any other factor of anyone's life, how can they attain the desired one? What while they're meditating or any practice, like you just said a minute back, that bring yourself back to the awareness for 5 to 10 seconds, so that you're responding and not reacting to a situation, and you're actually not attached to any kind of a outcome. So my question is that is there any formula that you have right now where we can apply to all kind of the attainments we wish, money, relationship, career, whatever, so that my inner swabhav is now all set for me to realize the outer reality.
For this, I'll just go through the process of what conscious creation is, right? At ACS, we have a process of conscious creation, which is just about detaching from this current swabhava and designing and integrating an ideal swabhava, which is congruent with living that ideal life, right? First of all, I need to mention that there are no shortcuts here, because people generally look for quick fixes and shortcuts, because whatever swabhava that has formed, it is very deep in nature, and it is a result of karma, conditioning, and for decades we have been feeding it, and it has become a very real thing now. Now, to go there and to go through this process, at least a minimum of 3 to 6 months is a journey that a person can, keep for themselves. But to come to your point, there are certain tools and systems that they can use. And one thing that we use is something called as mental reframing, where they begin to say they need a little bit of Vedantic understanding for this. But this is how it goes, right? From this moment onwards, first of all, they'll go through this self evaluation, and they will find out their patterns in the current swabhava, whatever I talked about earlier. They'll make a list of it, and in the next page they will write down the ideal swabhava or the ideal identity, and they will just reverse these patterns. For example, if the current swabhava believes making money or financial freedom is very, very difficult, the ideal identity would believe that money is easy and all forms of abundance flows to me naturally. If the current swabhava believes money is not spiritual and only meditation is spiritual and business is not spiritual, then the ideal identity would believe that everything is spiritual, everything is energy, and it would have that broad perspective. So they will reverse each pattern, and they will make a list of the ideal patterns for the ideal identity. And then from this moment onwards, whoever the person who is practicing this, they will no longer say, I believe that money is difficult, I believe that money is not spiritual. They'll stop saying that. And mentally, they will just begin to tell themselves that I'm not this current identity anymore. I'm this awareness that is behind it. And I'm now integrating this ideal identity of all these patterns. So whenever these old patterns come, because they still come, it takes certain time because they have a momentum. They just tell themselves that this is my old identity that is acting up. These are my old patterns that are coming up. But I now understand that I'm a conscious creator. I'm the awareness behind these patterns, this identity, and I'm integrating this ideal identity. So the more they can rewire themselves like this, the more they can integrate that ideal identity. And once that ideal identity is fully integrated, then reality will naturally unfold, based on that. It will change.
So the conscious creation that your foundation talks about is saying that where you, from your inner self, you're doing a self-talk and you're training your inner self to create the reality that you wish to be. You said that there'll be a pattern breaking where there could be some old thoughts which are instilled in you, could be innate, could be from societal conditioning. But then by this conscious creation, you will make new patterns that I am this or I am that. Is there a kind of a time period? You did say 3 to 6 months, but then is there a time period that one needs to invest in any kind of practice daily? Or is it that they sit for a meditation and they visualize and say this to themselves? Like one of the hacks you said that, one would not emit that energy in the words, we wouldn't stop saying such phrases. So, but is there like daily meditation or something that one should do for 5, 6, 10 minutes or something like that?
Yeah. So whatever I said, talked about in terms of mental reframing is just one small attitude fix or a tool that we use. But there are a series of systems and tools. And generally, that 6 months is the timeline a person can keep. Some people take it way too seriously. They are very intense, and in a matter of months, they change themselves. And we have so many examples like this. But some people take 6 months, 9 months, 1 year, but it totally depends on how seriously one pursues it. And coming to your point, there are many tools that a person can use. Some tools require deeper guidance, but just 10 minutes of what we call awareness meditation. Awareness meditation is just about sitting with yourself and just witnessing your breathing, where the breath is flowing in and out, and there are certain gaps between the inflow and the outflow. Just being aware of it and just sitting. And whenever the thoughts subside and there is calmness, we begin to pay attention to the awareness or the witness behind. Whenever thoughts come, whenever there are distractions, again we will pay attention to the breathing. So this is sort of what we call awareness meditation for 10 to 15 minutes. This will sort of create a gap between their old identity and the awareness. So there are many tools like this, but this anybody can do. Awareness meditation can be really powerful.
So just focusing on your breath for 10 minutes. So being aware of your breathing in and out. You did point out the paradox, which we will eventually live with, that with full thrust and throttle, we are into action. We are not attached to the outcome. I again would want to briefly bring out the duality here, where you did talk about a conscious creation, that I talk to myself, I meditate, and I, internally and consciously create a positive aspect of myself, which I want to see in the outer world. But at the same time, in our many of the Vedic rituals or mantras, we also say idam amam, where this is not me, this is not me. Where I try to not identify myself with any kind of ego or identity. Rather, I dissolve this back to the supreme, to the, that supreme power, the universe, the God, whatever, nomenclature we may want to use. So, is it a kind of a, I
contradiction?
Yeah, but how do we solve it? On the one side, I'm consciously creating, and on the other side, I'm trying to dissolve that this is not me, this is not me.
Yeah, first of all, very wonderful question. And so how we look at it is, most people, whatever you mentioned is absolutely right. Ultimately, we are not the one who are doing this, and ultimately it all comes down to that realization of the highest self, that is consciousness. But most people, like almost most of the population, are not ready for that. That is why Vedanta talks about the 4 attainments of life: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. Nobody, most people, if you look around, they're not seeking moksha right now. They're not seeking liberation. All they want is they are in financial trouble. They have relationship issues. So that is what they want to solve. So how we have done, how we have worked out this within ACS is, we have 2 levels of conscious creation. Level 1 of conscious creation is whatever I took you through, where we understand that the current swabhava is the problem, and I will detach myself from the current swabhava as much as I can, and I'll understand that I'm awareness behind it a little by little, and slowly I'll integrate an ideal identity through which I will live my ideal life. This is level 1. Now, there might be some seekers who come to us, like who don't even need anything, who are at a place where they just need deeper evolution and deeper understanding and that ultimate goal. Then comes level 2, where we are not even trying to reintegrate an ideal identity. We are just trying to disidentify and disintegrate that identity. And the more we disintegrate the identity, what remains is the awareness or consciousness, what you mentioned, which is that infinite potential. So that's level 2. But most people are not ready for that. So this definitely helps, and this prepares them for that, actually, because even in the level 1, they understand that there's something beyond that identity, which they would not have questioned otherwise.
So basically, when we are performing, but say, for example, I don't have a desired outcome. So do I have a two options that I consciously create the outcome? Or is it that I do then I just leave it, whatever it may be then?
No, that is the, first of all, we need to be very clear on what we want from life. For example, let's say there is a person who is not financially free and that is his major issue right now. Then he must fully accept that and work towards that, because now that is the goal. And along the way, whatever you mentioned, like along the way, as he's working towards that, internally, he must be in such a way, ideally, that no matter what happens, whether he solves that or not, it should not affect him internally. Because that is the ideal way to live, because enjoying the journey itself is the ideal way to live, not waiting for certain outcome. And even we say yad bhavam tad bhavati, which is when we come from a place of fullness or happiness, when we are in the journey, naturally we manifest that out into the world. When we come from a place of scarcity and stress and anxiety, naturally we manifest that in the world. So being detached is a very profound thing, because when we are detached, we are naturally happy. And when we are naturally happy, we only manifest happy outcomes. So that's the idea.
And if I may also ask you, about the karma and the free will, because we all are performing. What we are doing is all kind of karmas. We may put it into this karma, that karma, put it into any definition of bracket. But do we have a free will, or the outcomes are actually, I did my 100%, but now the outcome is not just my effort, but it could be that my outcome is actually attached to my previous karmas, which I have to fructify eventually. So I may get the result, I may not get the result as I have, envisioned it to be. So there could be many ifs and buts from many lives we are carrying. So where do we start here? And where do we comprehend the whole situation, that I'm performing the karma, but then at the same time, and we say that all your destiny is your past karmas we did and the destiny for this life. So you come here with a purpose and XYZ. But then I also have a free will, they say, that, I can create beyond my destiny. So how we understand this?
So first of all, karma and free will is a very deep topic, which we can, it will be very deep for many people and it can take a lot of time. But to simplify that, from the ultimate perspective, as per Vedanta, at an ultimate level, there is nothing called free will, because everything is consciousness, that everything is one. But for most people who are watching this, we need to assume that there is free will and your life is in your control. And your life is your responsibility completely, right? Because whoever you are right now, whatever your life is right now, it's based on your own karma. Karma is nothing but action. Whatever I am right now, it's because of my actions. And whatever you are right now is based on your actions. And just like the past actions have given rise to the current reality, the current actions, the present actions will lead to our future reality. So the very fact of the very meaning of karma, action and reaction, gives us the power and the possibility to create our life and mold our life the way we actually want to. The question is whether we are doing it consciously or unconsciously, and which most people are doing unconsciously, and conscious creation is just about doing it consciously. Like I mentioned, the present actions will lead to the future outcomes. So we are in control.
Present action of free will or no? Do I have that, what shall I say? For the lack of better words, I would say power. So do I have that power to really change my destiny through my karma? Or will my astrological charts and my karmic baggage will dictate for me and to restrict me from not doing it, and would restrict the free will?
It all comes down to whether we are creating unconsciously or consciously. So to go a little deeper here, whoever we are as a person, right, when we are born, we bring in something called as the prarabdha karma, because of which a certain direction for our life is set. Yeah. Now, what astrology does, what all these readings do, is that they are able to, people who are experts in that, which are very few, are able to decode that karmic pattern in that swabhava and understand that memory, and they'll understand that what kinds of choices this person will likely make in his life, and what kind of a life that this person will live in his life, because this is the kind of memory that he carries. So as long as that person is unconscious, right, as long as he's like blindly following society, and he's just not questioning life and his own true self, and he's living in that unconscious autopilot mode, he's completely in control of past karma, and astrology and all these readings will be able to predict his life. But let's say a person begins to wake up, he'll begin to bring in more awareness, more consciousness. He will begin to take a break, and like we discussed, a pause before before reacting, which is a conscious response. Now it breaks the pattern. Now no longer the karmic patterns are fully in control. Now he is beginning to take control. Like this, when a person fully wakes up, right, for a person who is fully awake, karma has no hold over him. The scriptures, Adi Guru Shankaracharya clearly mention that to consciousness, to our essential nature, there is no karma. There is nothing can hold our true essence. Karma only acts on our body and our mind and our identity, which are limited in nature. The moment we begin to recognize that we are something behind and beyond all that, we are getting free from karma little by little. But since most of us are fully stuck here, so we can say, as long as we are consciously creating, it's a combination of both. A certain aspects of our life are predetermined, certain aspects of our life we can take control, but the more we can be conscious, the more we are in control. And for all practical purposes, we need to assume that we are in control. That is the only way to take responsibility and to change our life. Otherwise, if we just accept life for what it is, then it's like going in an unconscious cycle. Then we are not in control anyways.
So we may fall in the danger of being complacent. So Mr. Sujan, which also means, which you just said, is that taking charge of the action and things may follow. So it also means that there is an action and reaction. So now we are conscious of our action, because I know that what I'm consciously acting and creating will have a certain kind of a reaction coming in the universe or the earth, or any dimension, is what I'm trying to say. So you're saying that we are consciously creating, and scientifically also the action we do, we perform, there'll be an equal reaction coming back to us. Why I mentioned this one because we all talk about this kind of a nobility, and what you sow you reap, and action and reaction. So it was coming from that. Where I'm coming from is the kind of the nobility we attach to our actions, or maybe I think you would say morality or dharma, right action.
Whatever we do, it definitely has a consequence, right? Anything we do in misalignment with dharma, we will suffer the consequences of it, because it's action and reaction. What we give is what we get. And karma is also very simple to understand, right? Like if we begin to eat the right kinds of food from today, let's say we stop all forms of tamasic foods, and if someone is smoking or drinking, they stop all that, they consume the right kinds of food, and let's say in the 6 months their health and their well-being will be in a totally different place. If they don't do that, if they consume all sorts of junk food and alcohol, and they smoke all day, and then in the next 6 months their life will be in a different direction. So this is karma. Whatever they're doing, it is having an effect on the next part of their life. So, but where karma gets complicated is when this is stretched to thousands of years, to various lifetimes, when some things yield results in some other times. So that is where it becomes complicated. But fundamentally, it's simple. Whatever we're doing, whatever we are doing every single moment, it has an effect. That's all. It has a memory attached to it, and that memory sort of manifests in some other times, and it comes up again.
How on point again you are. So basically the mental conditioning. And so such a practical example we have in front of us, the kind of food and the routine and the lifestyle we have will have a bearing on, it's scientific, it's practical. So spirituality is, again, I would like to, repeat here to the viewers that it's not about that we are talking about something, falling from the sky and some other world, but it's very you, what you're doing every day has a bearing. Your action is having a kind of a response which you will have to, you know, see and bear or maybe enjoy, whatever way, whichever way I would say. So, Mr. Sujan, before we conclude and I take your concluding remarks, you did mention about reality many a times in a conversation. And I think we all are trying to achieve that the reality, maybe that real self that we have been talking about. Uh, it's a kind of a how shall I put it? It's not confusing, but for the again, for the lack of better words, I would say that there are so many dimensions to the question I'm going to ask you now. Is that uh, what I am right now is real for this moment, as we discussed. What happened in the past, what will happen in the future is not in my hand. That cannot be my reality. Likewise, when people perceive me, they have their own perceptions and they perceive me, and that is their reality about me. So it could be that my mentor or teacher has some other reality of what they think of Tejasvi is, and my colleagues and classmates would have another reality of how they perceive Tejasvi is. I myself have another reality about myself if present in this moment, that who am I, what am I doing? And you conversing with me would have perceived and formed a certain image and a kind of a reality you think who Tejasvi is. So, there's so many realities we are surrounded. So then who am I in reality? Is perception the only standing reality, or is it really a real me? If I ask you that.
So, keeping all the so-called realities aside, the only reality is what you experience for yourself, right? Like based on whatever you said, what somebody else thinks of you, other people's perception is not in your control. It's not in your experience. It's irrelevant for you. What you are right now in this moment, how you experience yourself, now that is the only reality for you, which is the only relevant reality, and which is the only important reality. Now, from that is the place that we need to start. That is the starting point of self inquiry, which is whatever I'm experiencing right now, is this who am I? Is this who me is? The fundamental question that Ramana Maharshi asked, who am I? So who am I beyond this, beyond whatever I'm experiencing right now, or what is the deeper aspect to experience itself, right? Like most of us, when we generally assume that we are the body and mind and the identity, and that when we say I, that is what we point towards. So that is the first of all, that is the reality that we need to start with to understand the true meaning of reality, and to truly understand what reality is, right? To truly understand the nature of reality, we need to begin our examination with the reality that we are currently experiencing as this body and mind, and go deeper and deeper to just by asking ourselves that what am I behind the body, beyond the body, beyond the mind, behind the mind. So soon we will come to that. The more deeper we go, we will come to that. But we need to start with, first of all, we need to keep all the other realities aside of what other people think, and we need to begin with what we experience currently.
So the relevant reality you said, Mr. Sujan, and of course, I think again it is going to help people to sort themselves out where they are really seeing themselves, and they realize themselves as the society has shown it to them. Like there's a lot of social conditioning, family, friends, office, where they tell you who you are, and you start assuming that this is who I am. They say that you're not good at it, you're good at it, you're bad at it, you're this, you're that, and somewhere that starts seeping in to that individual's mind, and so to say the reality at that point of time, where he starts or she starts identifying him or herself with what people have or society have told him or her to be. But what you said is actually not that, but the relevant reality of who I think or I realize to be is me.
Yeah.
I think it can again be a big hack or a tool for everyone around to to know that how important it is then to self-validate yourself and to be conscious of yourself, and to then of course I think we garner self-confidence and so on and so forth from
Yeah.
this. Uh,
Hmm.
Mr. Sujan, your concluding remarks, we have really tried to touch quite a few points and questions about the very lives we all are living and ourselves.
Yeah.
What you want to leave all of us with today on North Star? How we can align ourselves to a happy, blissful life, and what are Mr. Sujan's golden word for all of us today to have a great life ahead?
So generally, whenever we do workshops, this is what we end with, which is about whatever you're seeking, whatever it is actually within you. That is the fundamental essence of Upanishads, which say Tattvamasi, you are it. That happiness you seek, the abundance you seek, the fulfillment you seek, everything is actually within you. And the external world can never give you that. When you go within and find that within yourself, then the external world will begin to reflect that for you. So just if we can make the shift in our perspective and our mindset, and if we begin to understand who we are, and if we begin to go deeper and deeper into the inward journey, I think that will solve everything for everyone.
So it is about being your own best friend.
Yeah, it's about, correct. Like Krishna says, if you take charge of yourself, you are your best friend. Yeah.
Mr. Sujan, I really want to thank you for your precious time, for taking your time out and uh, actually telling us about what can be and can be done in our lives in the true sense, and how we can actually move forward towards a life of fulfillment. And I really want to congratulate and take this opportunity and this platform to your team and to you, that you all are doing really great work for the society at large. We really need people like you who talk about it and who show the way and show the path to all of us in this worldly phenomenal world for a right living.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.